All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we have shocking news about the Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia fight and what one of the big problems are in making that fight. And surprise, surprise, it ain't the PBC going broke. It has something to do with Golden Boy and its contract with DAZN not being what it used to be. Man, people sure let that bad news out there about the PBC. Not so quick to talk about Golden Boy. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where Gervonta Tank Davis is supposed to be fighting Ryan Garcia at a catch weight of 136 pounds, so I don't think any belts are on the line. But some information came out yesterday that sheds light on why Oscar De La Hoya is being so insistent on certain things related to Gervonta Tank Davis. And this is coming out of the mouth of Chris Mannix and Mike Coppinger in an interview that they did yesterday, along with some information that was put out there by Boxing Scene's editor, Jake Donovan, I believe it was a few weeks ago. And so we're dotting I's and crossing T's in this one and looking at the details of what is causing this. And surprisingly, it sounds a lot like what people keep accusing the PBC of doing and why they don't want to make big fights. But before I do that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for your continued support for the channel. It absolutely positively is what allows the channel to continue to go and grow. Thank you for the support in the super chats, the cash apps and the live streams, and in the super thanks to videos like this. If you can, I understand that not everybody can support the channel like that. So hit the like button and share the video. Doesn't cost a thing. But thank you to everybody that supports. So let's get into this. Surprise, surprise. Ryan Garcia's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, according to Mike Coppinger, is doing what is necessary to protect DAZN in this negotiation that he is having with for Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Now, I was curious about what does that mean to protect DAZN. It turns out that according to, now this is what I'm getting through Chicken Talk. Shout out to Chicken Talk. Great source for boxing news, incredible source for boxing news. Definitely go check out the video that they did yesterday with the recap of it's entitled A Recap of their interview with Steven Espinoza. It's maybe like a 35 minute live stream where he revealed that Jake Donovan, who he does a show with on a Twitter space, I do believe on Saturday mornings, called Jake and Lefty on Twitter, a Twitter space, said that Oscar De La Hoya does not have a long-term contract with DAZN. That they are essentially, that Golden Boy is essentially on a fight-by-fight deal with DAZN. And that if you look at the scheduling of the fights that have taken place for DAZN, between the promoters that put on shows on their card, you will notice that the number one is Matchroom. The second one, I do believe they said, is Misfits. And then after that, they have Golden Boy. So let's analyze this for a second. Does this or does this not sound like the accusations that people make about the PBC and why the PBC are not making big fights? They say, look, they don't have the budget, right? They don't have the budget. Showtime's not giving them the money. Fox is not giving them the money. And that's why you didn't get a bunch of fights in the second half of 2022. Now, skip for a second that's not true. And the reason that they didn't do it was because everything got held off because of the Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence negotiations. At least that's what every fighter with the PBC has said. Right. And what common sense would tell you. But skip past that and say, well, OK, well, why is it then that Oscar De La Hoya isn't making any fights for Jaime Munguia? Why isn't he making any fights for Virgil Ortiz that are big fights? Why aren't you making any big fights for Ryan Garcia? Why are you letting fighters like Speedy Rashidi Ellis completely go? Could it be because of what DAZN had said before, that and this is what the person is running DAZN after Skip. I can't remember what Skipper's last name was, but it was the first person to come over and run DAZN. The second guy that came in and said, hey, look, U.S. boxing is too competitive. We're not going to be as involved in U.S. boxing. So they were going to stop doing as many fights. Well, it seems as if when they said that they were going to pull out of American boxing or be less active in American boxing, that is Eddie Hearn and Matchroom that have been putting on the most cards in the United States, and Oscar De La Hoya and those guys got the short end of the stick. And that is why they have to hold on, number one, have to make sure that DAZN gets the right to air the fights for Ryan Garcia, because if he just sends Ryan Garcia over there and DAZN doesn't have anything to do with it, then his contract or their ability to do other deals with DAZN may actually be jeopardized, right? And it may not have anything to do with the great interest that DAZN has in being involved with the fight, because DAZN had already agreed. Well, let me put it this way. Point to this. When Steven Espinoza had given an interview about, who he had heard from and what issues he had heard from regarding the Gervonta and Ryan fight, they said that they didn't hear anything about this from DAZN, that this is not an issue that DAZN is raising. This is an issue that Oscar De La Hoya is raising. So when Oscar De La Hoya says, well, look, we want to have this rematch, and this rematch goes on to DAZN, that probably has very little to do with DAZN, also has very little to do with what Ryan Garcia would do, has everything to do with that Golden Boy doesn't want to go out of business, because if they lose Ryan Garcia and they can't bring the match back over to DAZN, then there's no contract, there's no fighters to sell to DAZN. Because if you look at Golden Boy doesn't have a lot of fighters, period. And let alone getting and actually making good fights. So it seems as if, this is a scenario where people are pointing at what they believe to be the obvious with the PBC and equating everything to them going broke and Fox not doing business with them and Showtime, cutting back their budget and not giving them money for it. But when there's a PBC fighter that everybody got money for because he's getting dates, no one wants to point over to the fact that Oscar De La Hoya may be in trouble, and that may be the actual truth going on with them. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.